What's up, guys? Chimp here, and I'm going to record a very quick market update um, as Bitcoin has made a big move to the downside. I haven't recorded one of these in a couple days, and yeah, let's just get right to it. So, let's just first start off by talking about sort of where we're at in terms of price action. And I'm going to be using Coinalyze just because I want to show some open interest charts as well. Um, okay, so we'll wait for these to load. Okay, so basically we've had this like 10-day consolidation range. Not sure why the global open interest. There we go. Okay, we've had this 10-day consolidation range. Let me see if I can scroll down just a bit. There we go. That started on July 11th. It's almost been 2 weeks actually, which I didn't realize it's actually almost been 2 weeks. So actually, it's been more like 2 weeks. We've been consolidating, and we had this initial blow off. And I remember watching this initial blow off. And this is something where like typically I don't trade micro time frames as much, but I remember watching it and seeing that every leg up was like going up and actually like forming a new very low time frame range where you were squeezing out some shorts. And the very last leg to that high, which I think was right above 123, we went up. It wasn't that big of an impulse. No shorts came out. And then we sort of retraced back into that 122 range we were trading at like a couple hours, not even a couple hours, like 1 or 2 hours prior. That marked the top. From there, we came down, formed a low for a bit, and then, came back to around 120, went above 120 a couple times. Obviously, we weren't able to hold those prices, and now we've sort of, broke down from this range. My gut feeling tells me that's not a good sign. And obviously, as everyone knows, I've had this bearish view for a while, but I don't think this is a good sign. The fact that we sort of stayed here for 2 weeks, everyone sort of got their fills, etc., and now we're starting to move to the downside, not great. And now you have 2 weeks of people who are underwater. I suspect you have a lot of people who are buying the dip on leverage. It's typically what happens in these situations. Very low time frame leverage buyers can win. Mid to high time frame, it's a lot more of an open question, and I don't think they're going to win. So let's take a look at global open interest. Global open interest, before we pumped, was sitting around, 68 billion, 72 billion. Let's just call it 70. We went to a high of 105, and I've been sounding the alarm about this. Like, this is not sustainable. I don't think this is a good sign. I don't think you want to see open interest going crazy. Again, global open interest still sits at 96, right? Like, we've wiped out maybe a fourth of the froth, third of the froth, and open interest on Bitcoin in particular is up, and I'll go over that in just a second, but like, let's just say you discount that and it's at 94. Okay, so we've wiped out a third of the froth. There's still a lot of froth. And the problem is, like, everyone has sort of blown their big loads at the top, right? And you're going to have, in some sense, dip buyers that are able to come in, especially like in these situations, sort of on the first leg down. People are a bit more, like, basically, the way these markets work is sort of cyclical, right? At tops or near the tops, bulls are flush with cash. And so they can come in and buy dips. And that's why you see a lot more sort of mean reverting behavior. You don't see like these 20% collapses off the highs as much. But then as sort of the market progresses, bulls run out of cash. People who are bearish or bear biased tend to have more money. And so pumps are way less short lived. You start sitting at bottoms more until you get to the stage where like bears are flush with cash. If you've been shorting every pump, you've been flush with cash. And so prices sort of stay suppressed because bears are shorting every micro pump. And then you get your breakout, which is like the squeeze. And usually like when shorts get squeezed, that's sort of the first sign of a breakout. Not something you want to fade. Anyways, OI is still elevated. And so I'm going to just go through a couple charts. First one is Bitcoin open interest on Binance. So there's been a lot of bids that have been filled on the way down. There's some more bids that are waiting to be filled down at 115, 114, 113. So these are all longs that are entering. And again, like, they might win, they might not, but it does worry me that, like, and part of this is probably like Galaxy hedging some of that Bitcoin that they're selling. But it does worry me that open interest is going up and you are getting like aggressive dip buying by some whales. Now, whether that's fuel for another leg lower, it might be. Could it be a temporary bottom? It might also be, but again, I sort of lean towards all these sort of shenanigan behaviors to be like you might get a local bottom out of it, but I don't think this is like the end all be all bottom. And let's just look at like some of these native tokens that have pumped. Like again, like is the froth out or not? So I'm gonna get rid of the aggregated. Let's just look at stablecoin margin since that's the native unit. XRP open interest was at 600 million units. At the highs, it was around 1.2 billion. We're still at a billion units, right? Like this is what I've been saying. Like about a third of the froth maybe has come out. We're still at a billion units of XRP open interest being open. Like there's so much leverage so sort of in the market that has not been flushed out. So and XRP is sort of like it's one of the better cases, right? You have something like Doge, and Doge open interest when Doge was around 18 cents was 4.7. It peaked at 8.3. It's still at 7.7, right? It's like 3 billion units. It's 3 billion units that are still been opened, and Doge is like fading, right? Like it. I'll say this, and maybe it's a bit controversial. Like if this is a top and we start getting like major flush outs, it wouldn't surprise me if like midterm Doge trades back under 10 cents with everything unwinding. But it's tough to say for now. I mean, maybe that's too bold for now. But anyways, like you've had this situation where people have leveraged up, and like it's probably not going to be a one-way road down. But you know, if that guy who has 80,000 Bitcoin sells it all in one go, then yeah, it's going to be a one-way road down. But you've had like peak froth, right? Like every alt going crazy, everyone like getting max bullish, treasuries buying like crazy, and now we know like treasuries are slowing down, right? There's two exceptions to that. One is Mara, which they might raise 850 million. So like where will the potential buying come from to save us? 850 million from Mara and Staler with his strike, right? So he might get like 2.5 billion. So at these prices, maybe that's around 20 to 30,000 Bitcoin. It is significant, but again, like they don't have, as far as I'm aware, as far as I'm aware, it's gonna take these guys a couple days to get the money. It might take Mara longer. It might take Sailor a little bit less time. But even if he gets that money, like let's say we wipe out to 102, like Sailor buying maybe sends us back up to 108 or something. But like if the only two treasury buyers you have left are these two, like that's probably a problem, right? I know Cantor Group was trying to do something. I don't know like whether they were able to get any additional pipe investors or what happened with that deal, whether it ultimately went through or not. I also know GameStop still has some cash. But again, like at the bottoms, at the lows, you have people panic selling, you have people like forced selling from liquidations, etc. That's what happened at 3K in 2018. That's what happened at the FTX and Celsius and 3AC lows in 2022. And at the highs, like you have at the highs you have people like going euphoric and buying at any price, right? At the bottom, people have to sell at any price. At the top, people are buying at any price. And like, look at this, right? Like the fact, and I know this isn't the first time they're doing it, but like the ageless, like, let me rephrase that. I'm trying to get too cute here. Basically, at the lows, miners were notorious for selling the bottom. Now, like the new financial innovation is miners actually take on debt to buy the top. So, again, like another sort of classic warning sign. And lastly, let's just talk about ETF flows before I wrap this video up. Again, you've had like ETF flows completely slow down. You've had one day that's been decent, right? 200 million, but you're not getting the same like crazy ass flows you were getting a couple days ago. ETF flows have clearly slowed down. Like they've plateaued for a bit. I guess you could say they plateaued here as well. But like when I look at the overall picture, you've had 20 billion plus in ETF flows, some of which are probably vulnerable to ejecting if there's some signs of weakness. Treasury companies are clearly slowing down. Look at Metaplanet, right? Metaplanet can't buy. Look at Sailor's premium, right? That's why he's going all in on the stretch shit, because his ability to raise through ATMs is soon going to be crushed too if his premium goes down much more. So you're having like if this is a roller coaster and you're sort of going up towards the top and you're at the top and it's starting to come down, right? You're at that point where like your velocity is clearly slowing, right? You're like kind of approaching that top mark in terms of like money coming in and everything else. And like these markets are forward looking to some degree, right? People know that. And one thing I haven't even talked about is like there's always supply that can come online, right? Like the 80,000 Bitcoin. There's going to be other people who have been holding this shit for a long time. Like we're 10x off the lows. There's going to be people who bought way lower who are going to want to secure profits. And that's why like this thing of, oh, we're going into a golden bull run has never made sense to me, because you long Bitcoin at 115, what are you targeting? What's your upside? There was already a 9x move off the lows. You could go back and read my tweets at the FTX lows. I was telling everyone to buy the golden bull run's beginning. I was telling people to buy at 38. I was telling people to buy at 50. I was telling people to buy at 80, right? Like I've been thinking like every time we've had a washout, a consolidation, and we're going to go up, like I've been there with the bulls. I remember even at 26K, right, in 2013, like hopping on a spaces. And this is when I stopped doing spaces regularly. It's because like, remember I hopped on a spaces and like 1 year, like people at 26 were telling me, hey, we're going to leg down to 23 or 20. Like it's over, right? And that was the fucking bottom before we blasted off. Within the next 6 months, we were trading at 74, right? But again, like now we're at the stage of the market where everyone's leveraging up, global open interest, 100 billion, TradFi mass interest, like it's peak Goldilocks. That's sort of what I'm trying to convey. And peak Goldilocks can get even more Goldilocks. I'm not denying that. But again, what's your upside? If you got a 9x off the lows, what are you looking for here? You could do the math, right? Like Bitcoin's a $2 trillion, $3 trillion asset. How much money do you need to move that to double a $2 trillion asset? Let's just say you take like the best case scenario, right? Let's just say $1 coming in has a $20 multiplier effect. I don't think that's the case. I think like people have said the numbers like something like $7 or $9. Let's just go with 20 to 1. So you're getting another 100 billion in inflows. Where's the 100 billion going to come from? Treasuries maybe can put in another 5, maybe, let's just say best case, treasury companies put in another 10. Okay? ETFs over the course of well over a year have inflowed 54 billion. So where's the 100 billion going to come from to double the price, right? Like, again, this is what I'm talking about, where it's just like basic math, not basic mathematics, but like using logic to say like, where is my upside, where's my downside? And on the flip side, what if some coins come online? Not just this 80,000. What if the British government tries to sell some? What if some big whales try to sell some, right? There's a lot of coins in circulation. It's not like everything's been pulled out. Like a lot of coins have been pulled out, but there's still a lot of coins outstanding. And what happens if the market deleverages? Again, these are all considerations. So this is why I've been saying, like, look, I think the risk reward here is just not great. But anyways, we'll see how the market plays out. Obviously, I'm passionate about this, and I've been sort of sounding the alarm, maybe a slight step prematurely, but you could go back and look at my previous videos, right? In the 90s, even, I was bullish. I just think it is what it is. I think the market is clearly at a stage where the risk reward doesn't favor longing, and we'll see ultimately how it plays out. But anyways, guys, appreciate it, and until next time, take care.